Hello, and welcome to the next match in the 2025 Pod Racing Tournament. I'll be your commentator for the day, Domeray, and on the platform we have King Beandip versus Radiant Variant. This is a quite the exciting match that we have going on today. Oh, okay. I don't know why my mic was freaking out there. Sorry about that. This is quite the exciting match that we have going on today. King Beandip, one of the legends of the game, one of the very best to ever do it, but he's out of practice. Going against Radiant Variant, one of the most consistent players that we have, but not quite to that upper echelon of skill level yet. It'll just be absolutely fascinating to see if King Bean is able to resurrect his career from 2.5 years without playing a serious IL versus somebody who's been playing the game every day for almost 2 years straight. And we have been tracking. All right. Looks like this could potentially be the actual restart. Potentially. Hmm. Not sure why it is that I'm hearing things that I'm not seeing. I heard a restart and a boost start. I did not see it happen. Okay. I'm gonna guess that that is the actual start. I'm gonna have to figure out the audio. Oh, no? Not the start? Why is the audio decent? Grr. Maybe I'll switch to Radiance. See if that works. Nope. Only has his voice. Okay. Alright. I believe we are in the race. And the audio is decent though. That's fascinating. Not sure if that's on King Beandip's end or if that's on SpeedGaming's end. But yeah. Anyway, let me go ahead and get this sync fixed. Oh, King Beandip taking a dab. Oh man. That is not what you want to see, but that is exactly what I was talking about leading up into the start of this match. There is a risk, a potential problem with King Bean here is that he is out of practice. Let's see. All right. King Bean Dip came across with a 119. It does look like he is roughly 3 seconds behind Radiant at this point. I do think he has the pace to actually make that entire gap up. But the question is, will he be able to do it without taking another death? Radiant taking the the unused beaten off-road path there that nobody would ever take on that conveyor belt. That was just straight up time loss, and there's no reason to take it on Xbox either. For reference, Radiant is on the new gen console version of the Xbox, whereas King Bean Dip is on the PC. So King Bean does have a platform advantage, but he has to be able to make use of it. All right, Seeking Bean Dip is just absolutely pushing it, trying to make that time back up. He is almost caught up coming into the entrance of the market. He is just a corner behind. This is incredible stuff. All right, King Bean Dip has used more heat. I would say probably roughly even pace, but you can see he made up 2 seconds on that lap. Let's see where they're at when they both maxed out their heat here. Oh, he's died! Oh my gosh! Oh, I do think the sync is like half a second off, but I'm not going to fix it at this point. Oh, coming into the faster, and he's using more heat. He's taking the faster route. King Bean, does he have the pace? I think he does. Going into the downhill. They're basically even footing. King Bean Dip coming through the mine section. Radiant coming through as well. Gotta keep it clean, King Bean. No more unnecessary deaths here. They both swing it around these final corners. Going into the uphill tunnel. Heat's gonna be important. This is a very difficult ending. King Bean using his heat. Radiant not using his heat. That's the platform advantage right there. King Bean pushing. Absolutely monstrous pace for a race with the death. The 3:47. And Radiant comes home with a 3:50.45. Very, very respectable time. But it's going to be King Bean. Takes that first race. With some decent audio. And unfortunately, I can't use Radiant's audio, so this is a tad bit unfortunate in that sense, but we will survive. All right. Moving on to the next race, we're going to be taking the first of Radiant variant picks. For those who are new to the tournament format and just got handed a whole blazer of a first race there, absolutely thrilling first race. You have the Swiss bracket rule set this year is that it's a best of 7, which means we're doing a first to 4 race wins. The tracks have been pre-selected by our racers, except for the first track of the match, which was selected ahead of time by our track committee, consisting of Game Draco, Hayudoro, and Andy Panther, 3 of the big names in the N64 legend of this game. All right. So that means that when a player loses their match or the race, we are going to see their picks in the order that they picked them ahead of the match. So the first race that Radiant picked was Vengeance. So we can see King Bean Dip as starting to warm up on Vengeance here. Players do get about a couple minutes to warm up on each track prior to the picks, and they get an extra minute if it is a skips pick. They are allowed 2 force points to pick between skips or banning 2 additional pods as well in those picks. So, yeah, like I said, best of 7, first points to King Bean. So we're going to need to see Radiant variant on one of his own picks break serve back towards King Bean and take some tracks from King Bean. Otherwise, King Bean has this match in his hands, and he is the player who has an advantage. Like I said, he has a platform advantage, and he is historically a much stronger player than Radiant. I am not sure what FPS that King Bean is on, and honestly, I'm not sure he's sure what FPS he's on. He was struggling to get his FPS to be consistent with OBS open. Looks like Radiant has a 3:09 best time here, so King Bean with the death. Honestly, without one, he's looking kind of sluggish here. This might have been a genius pick on the part of Radiant. All right, so we do have the countdown having been given. The question is, what is going to be the real race start? That I do not know the answer to. Radiant restarting race, although I'm not sure if that was to restart for practice or just to restart for the race. It does appear with King Bean still going that it probably was not the race restart, so we'll give it some time. King Bean on the restart. Waiting for Radiant. King Bean hits it. Radiant should switch over anytime soon. Unless we've just magically gained a massive sync. I don't know where that would have came from. That's actually looking to be the case. All right. Well, I don't know how the heck that happened, but such is the way of these tournaments. We're looking at about 29 seconds separating our two racers, so we're going to go ahead and do that before the end of this first lap. Make it a little bit interesting. Oh, King Bean Dip taking that death that I was talking about. Yeah, so this is going to be very difficult for him to actually close the gap on if Radiant can keep it clean. This track is not a huge advantage towards PC given how much of it is just easy to hold boosts around. So even playing at a super peak level, which King Bean is not capable of right now, I really kind of doubt he can make this up. Radiant coming out with a 103.7, very respectable. Definitely holding a commanding lead, 108.89 for King Bean Dip. Uh, what? There's literally no way, dude. Th- Did did he just restart? What? Hello? I have absolutely no idea what's happening anymore. So it's very clear that King Bean Dip did do his race on the restart from the countdown in a way that makes sense. It is not clear to me that Radiant did the same thing. So, um, I guess we'll have to ask. I'm not gonna bother fixing whatever is happening here. Oh my gosh, King Bean Dip has taken another two crashes while I've been talking about this. Oh no. You can see the rust definitely bearing its claws here. But it might not matter, depending on what Radiant says. I mean, I don't know if it's just like the speed gaming stream just being like super out of whack, which I mean, given the audio issue we're having with King Bean Dip, that very well might be the case. But um yeah, lovely. We're gonna find out though, because obviously we can't just let somebody full on restart like that. Like if you press that menu, you gotta unpause. You can't restart the race. And yeah, that would not be great. I don't think you have to be on console to do that. I'm pretty sure you can just hold nose up anyways, can't you? All right, King Bean Dip comes in with a 324 after it's all said and done. Uh, I I'm gonna have to ask here. So a 324 with three deaths, I believe. Definitely a little unfortunate. Ooh, Radiant taking a death there. Ah, yes. He says that he lost track of the countdown. I see. Looks like King Bean Dip is saying that he is okay with it. So I think we're just going to go ahead and give the point to Radiant. All right. We're going to go ahead and just give the point to Radiant this time, since King Bean Dip has given his blessing. So that means we have a point on the board for Radiant. Now that hold is kind of clutch though for console. I never really thought about it. Definitely something worth doing. I could probably pound that out tonight. But saying is there to break up some rocks, make the tube a bit easier, and it also gives a slightly better starting position since the whole game is about reducing distance. All right. So the first of King Beandip's tracks is another of the Uvo 4 tracks, that being Execution. And boy, does it live up to its name for a large amount of people within this game. All right, we're going to go ahead and reset these syncs because now I have absolutely no idea what's happening. So at least we have that going for us, I guess. All right, so Executioner. Things that you should know going into this track. It is classically run as a high FPS track, high traction track. That means that we are looking for some sticky and stiff pod of movements. We're going to try to get some boost holds to use some fast train, very similar to how Benji's was just now. Would have loved to have talked about that a little bit more. Kind of got thrown off by that whole lap one restart, but you know, just how it goes. So we are going to take the red carpet path, as Draco lovingly calls it, leading up to the first of the tubes that we will be using with Ben. We're going to want to see King Bean and Radiant both try to optimize their heat going into this tube so that way they can avoid using it on exit. And the exit to this tube is where most people consider the name, and it takes King Bean's life as I say it. Right then and there, it takes its first victim, but luckily just in practice, so we'll have to pay close attention to see if these racers are able to deal with that. The countdown was given, so we are looking for a restart from both of them. That might be the proper restart from Radiant. I am not entirely convinced anymore what's happening. Didn't exactly see him practicing for long, so I'm hoping this is a little bit of practice, but we shall find out. Okay, King Bean Dip is restarting race. I'm going to withhold for a little bit. Okay, yep, there's the proper restart from Radiant, I think. It was about a 12-second sync for SMR, so this would make a lot more sense. Okay, perfect. Good deal. We have got ourselves an actual race on our hands this time. King Bean Dip taking it nice and smooth through the opening sections here. There's the sync coming in a little bit slow. Radiant managing heat as well as he can. That opening section is very difficult to manage on console. Oh, perfect. All right, let's see how they both fare with their heat going into the tube here. Radiant choosing to go directly at it. That's a brave man to do that in tournament. Radiant using some of his heat in the tube, and they both survive. King Bean Dip using more of that fast train, ending up with a lead coming out of the tube and with more boost in the tank. That is definitely a big advantage that King Bean Dip has on straight pace alone. Now we are also going to have a second tube here. You still don't want to boost through all of it, and unfortunately that is exactly what King Bean Dip just did. Radiant using a little bit better heat management there. Once again, doing the little bit of a nose up boost hold trick, staying in the air. I'm definitely looking forward to trying that once I have the opportunity to do so on console. I am very impressed by what Radiant has been putting on today. He has not exactly been the highest advocate for himself, but I think people should really put his name on the map. Look out for what he can do, even on console. My man is absolutely pumping along with Ben. King Bean Dip second tube entrance goes nice and smoothly in. Radiant avoiding a death there. A little bit of a bonk. King Bean Dip survives the exit once again, and so does Radiant. No executing this time around. But we can see that King Bean Dip has quite a sizable lead here. Going just into there, it's a 2:19 entrance versus a 2:22. So about 3 to 3.5 second lead over the course of the 2 laps. Still can't quite take a death, but by the end of lap 3, he might have enough. Oh, he might have enough pace, and he's gonna need it now. Oh, goodness. He's definitely gonna need that pace that I was just talking about there. Right into the corner of the gate. King Bean Dip. Just absolutely getting cooked by his own inconsistency here. We might see a 2-1 lead for Radiant out of this. I don't think anybody would have quite predicted an outcome like that going into this match. Radiant keeping it clean. Continues pushing. King Bean Dip. Exit of the tube. Keeps it going. Radiant holds the lead. Still clean. He's got this. He just has to keep it clean. This is just a little bit longer. To the end of the lap. Can he keep it deathless? He does! Radiant takes point 2. Oh boy. Wow. Unbelievable. Whoa. Well, I don't know if you all were expecting a match, but boy, have you got one. Radiant absolutely punching up, doing everything he can to drag himself consistently through to the end, whereas King Bean Dip has died 6 times so far this match. We have ourselves an absolute banger here. There is no doubt that King Bean Dip has the pace. He just can't keep himself alive. All right. So for the next of King Bean Dip's picks, since that was Executioner, was one of his own, Radiant having broken serve properly there, is Malistaire 100. Another track that has a big advantage towards RPC players. This one is for a much lower FPS interaction setup due to the defining and characteristic 180-degree hairpin at the end of every lap. We can see a 149 for Radiant, whereas King Bean Dip, I do believe, has a PB of a low 145. Not that he's capable of getting that time currently, but certainly he could put something like a 146 on the board. But again, the time gap between these two here is not enough for King Bean to afford a death. He's gonna have to race clean. There is no other choice. So here is that 180-degree hairpin. King Bean Dip is still more than capable of doing it. Now, Radiant, because he is stuck on higher FPS, he's gonna have to use the brakes. That stiffness that comes with being on a higher FPS does prevent him from having the flexibility that King Bean Dip is going to have here. Ooh, rough hairpin for Radiant. He might have been pushing that one a little too much. All right. The countdown was given. Potentially, that might be the restart right there. We shall see. I'm not going to hold any hope that that was actually the real restart, given how Radiant's restarts have been so far, but not impossible that this thing went the other way. Or that King Bean Dip did the same thing and lost track of time here. He is just doing a whole run in practice, which is, I mean, I guess that makes sense. All right, he is on to restart race. So I believe this is just practice from Radiant. Yes, and that should be the real restart. We got both. And it looks like it's going to be a little bit in favor of Radiant this time here. Just a little bit of a difference. Perfect. Let's see if King Bean Dip can use that raw pace and platform advantage, but keep it clean to take his second point of this match and make it 2-2 in this epic showdown. Yeah, King Bean really is taking that PC advantage all the way home. Oh, but not like that. Oh my gosh. I can see exactly what went through his mind there. He got scared of going to the left because when you turn on that left wall, you can clip the cockpit of the pod and die. But that left him at a very awkward angle coming into the hairpin, and he just turns right into it, bangs into the wall, and dies. And again, I do not believe that. Oh, he dies too! I was just gonna say that King Bean Dip doesn't have the pace without a death, but Radiant takes his second death of the match. Much better hairpin from King Bean that time. Definitely not clean, but a lot better than anything Radiant will be able to do in console. And we can see that 5.7 second swing just from that alone. All right. King Bean coming up to the end of his third lap. He's gonna need to keep it clean through the end. He still can't afford to make any more mistakes. He's made enough of them as is. Hairpin. And that's the best one he's done the whole time. There it is. King Bean with a 150.61 and Radiant with a 154.91, both with one death. King Bean taking the pace advantage home and cashing it in for his second point this match. Means we are tied at 2-2. Radiant saying, "Ah, beans. Malister certainly ain't my forte." And King Bean Dip replying to the "ah, beans" with, "That's me." Absolutely genius commentary between our two contestants here. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So the next of Radiant's picks is going to be Howler Gorge. This is typically viewed as one of the mid packs of tracks in terms of difficulty in the game. A little bit of PC advantage here, but you can certainly put up a very respectable time on Howler. Roughly about 3 seconds overall, maybe 1 second per lap difference here on average. So any mistakes, again, could result easily in King Bean Dip losing, but he should have the pace advantage once again, which you're going to hear me say a lot because I don't believe there's a track that King Bean Dip doesn't have a pace advantage over Radiant on. Now, as for whether or not he can make use of that previous pace difference is the real question. Ooh, man. Some wide hairpins here from King Bean. One of the more difficult sections on the track. Arguably the most difficult section on this track. It's definitely not the hardest track in the game. Like I said, kind of middle of the road in terms of overall difficulty. But that bridge that King Bean Dip went over earlier, that is certainly a spot to look out for. Radiant, being on 60 FPS, is not prone to hitting that ceiling, but King Bean Dip likely lowered his FPS to get a little bit better turning on this, and that will make it a lot more likely that he dies to that ceiling. And we got a tent entrance. King Bean Dip dying to that too. Oof. This pick might be inspired purely on a desire to see King Bean Dip die. Because boy oh boy, is it pretty likely. Also, that's a lot more snow than I realized showed up on Xbox. Why did nobody ever tell me about all that snow that shows up on Xbox? Made more of an attempt than the PC version, at least. still kind of sad looking, but shows up a little bit more often. Radiant definitely needs to learn how to optimize his practice in these matches. He is restarting and wasting practice time quite a bit. Definitely would not be my suggestion. You kind of want to give yourself ample opportunity to play the track, even if you make mistakes. Like, learn how to recover from mistakes at the very least. You know, like, you don't want to just assume you're going to play perfectly and only know how to respond to that. All right, both are restarting. And we bounce back just a little bit more in King Bean Dip's direction here in terms of the sync, but still ultimately very close to each other. Both respecting the clock very obviously, so we'll take it. All right, a little bit of a different pathing here. Definitely would recommend Radiant to change or update that moving forward. Oh my gosh. What an absolutely disrespectful death that one was. I hate when the track does that to you, man. He just like barely clipped a little bit on the arc there. And because he clipped it just that little bit, it just eviscerates him. Radiant going through the middle path, taking a very wide line, and King Bean Dip following him through it. So again, you really shouldn't have a death's pace advantage here on Howler from PC to console. But King Bean Dip is also, again, just like a faster player, even if you ignore the platform differences. So it is potentially still in the cards for King Bean Dip to pull this out. With a 111.8 compared to a 115.4, that is a 3.6 second gap separating our racers. Question is, can King Bean Dip recover almost 2 seconds of pace per lap compared to what Radiant's pulling out here? Honestly, I'm not thinking he can without Radiant making some sort of mistake. This might stay in Radiant's advantage. All right. Both going down through the downhill section. King Bean Dip opting to actually take the faster line this time, so that's good. Radiant catches fire. No big problem on the Xbox version whatsoever. A little bit of a bonk from King Bean Dip. Hopefully he didn't lose too much speed. It doesn't look like it. Just a little bit of a bad line resulting from it. And will this be the 2 seconds that King Bean needs? With a 106.30 compared to a 105.5, it is not 2 seconds. He's not on pace to catch up. He's going to need mistakes from Radiant. Speaking of mistakes, King Bean loses the boost there. That's not going to help him recover that time. And he misses the boost on that too. Oh no. He's losing time now. He actively needs Radiant to take a death somewhere. Will it happen? Will we see Radiant make enough mistakes? King Bean chasing for his life. Radiant. Can he take a third point? He's on his way to the end of the track. The 325. He does it. King Bean faster on pace once again. But it doesn't matter. That death doing him in. And it's a third point for Radiant Variant. The underdog. Killing it in his first tournament match ever against a legend of the game at a platform disadvantage. Do not sleep on this man. Do not sleep on him. He is a threat, and he is coming for whoever he sees next in this tournament. But with that being said, now we get a little evil with the next of King Bean Dip's picks. His final pick that he can have. Radiant takes it. He wins this match. But King Bean Dip's not going down without swinging. We're going to Grabvine Gateway, people. The quintessential hard track in the game. Absolutely blistering difference in potential pace here. With King Bean Dip's PB being a full 23 seconds faster than Radiant's PB. That is at least 4 deaths of a cumulative time loss that King Bean Dip can take. And our audio is fully fixed. Would you look at that? We can finally listen to the correct audio in peace. King Bean Dip is going all or nothing. Radiant saying he chooses to die on this hill. Neva Key instead of Bullseye. What a way to shoot yourself in the foot. Absolutely no reason to do it. Oh man, this is exciting. I don't know if Radiant's gonna practice at all here. Countdown is being given now on online. I'm gonna go ahead and fix these syncs just a little bit. I wouldn't go with Giga Chad for the Neva Key pick. I would. That's not quite what I would use as the phrase for it. The swamp will indeed be nuts. But I have the feeling that we're going to see King Bean Dip be there a lot earlier. Oh, King Bean Dip looking at his settings. Not sure what he's trying to do here. Oh, he's restarting the game. We might have ourselves a little bit more of a of a sync than usual here. All right. Looks like that could potentially have been the actual restart to the race, which completely threw out my My sinking period at life. I'm just going to we're just gonna throw this in there and see what that looks like. I do believe that is the actual start to the match. Again, King Bean Dip has got a lot of pace to work with here. He doesn't have to play perfectly by any means to be faster than Radiant on this track. And we can see that he does immediately have a pace advantage. Coming into the swamp, King Bean Dip is multiple turns ahead already. Both are keeping it clean though. And it looks like we got roughly a 3.5 second gap, maybe 4 seconds. Yeah, 4 seconds. About a 4 second gap between these two right now. And that is not surprising given the context of these two players' abilities here and the difference in platform. King Bean Dip coming in with a 128.99. Definitely not his fastest work, but he did have that mistake. Radiant coming in with a 132.7. Radiant is fulfilling a larger percentage of his potential on the track compared to King Bean, but it just doesn't matter. All right, lap 2 and 3, the Quake shortcut. King Bean Dip makes it through a little clumsily, but he definitely made it through there. Radiant unable to break because he's playing Neva Key, and he takes a death for it. That's the hill you chose to defend, Radiant. Don't you forget that. Had you had a lower acceleration part in the form of Bullseye, you would have been fine. But King Bean, keeping it clean. Absolutely flawless in terms of his need. He doesn't need to be fast, he just needs to be alive. And he is staying alive, for what that's worth. Radiant coming through to the end of Swamp, monstrously behind now after the disaster that was his lap 2 shortcut. Needs to break earlier, needs to remember to sell an acceleration part next time he wants to play or just pick Bullseye. He really did avoid 2 crashes in that swamp. It was kind of really good reactions on his part there. And Radiant definitely burning more time here. King Bean coming up to his lap 3 shortcut. Going super slow, but keeps it alive once again. Bogging that left wall. Taking his first death of this grab vine. Gonna need to just keep it together. Doesn't need to play perfectly. Still has a massive advantage in terms of pace. All we're looking for is just to not die like 5 times. Yeah, it's really all we. King Bean enters Swamp. Still got a really big lead here. He could take another death at the very least and still be fine. But he doesn't. He exits Swamp. Radiant halfway through is pushing through to the end of Swamp. But King Bean Dip is coming up to the end of the lap. And we're going to have a race 7. I do believe this is our first race 7 this year, if I'm not mistaken. But 428.28. King Bean Dip is not going to be the happiest about that time, but he is definitely going to take it to the bank as it came just when he needed it, with a 128 for Radiant. Definitely trying to pick up the pieces there, but just not enough. It's 3-3. The last race of this absolutely beautiful match. It's going to be on Deether's Revenge. One of the easier tracks in the game, known for purely being able to push hard in tournament. You can go at this track and be perfectly fine most of the time if you have any level of recency to you, which King Bean Dip does not, but he does have a 206. And a 206 pace is not easy to get. Not many players have done it. King Bean Dip has that legend status for a reason. One of the more mispronounced tracks in the game. I don't know what you're talking about. There is absolutely no resemblance of the word to another word in the English dictionary. I do not know what you could possibly be referring to. And if you don't think it's Dethros, then you definitely haven't listened to Ace talk often. All right. I did not catch what Radiant's PB here is, but this track is not exactly the easiest on console. It does have a major disadvantage on lap 3. That ending, you cannot boost out to save your life. It's very difficult to push for anything useful there. But I guarantee you, with the pace that Radiant has been showing throughout this match, King Bean desperately needs a clean race. There's really just not much more to say. He really just can't keep dying. I don't think he has had a deathless track yet. But if there's ever a time to go for one, this was it. King Bean is looking good in practice. Definitely agree. And Radiant is still on Neva. I'm imagining that is not what he intended to do, and it looks like I am correct. It switches to Ben. Good thing too. Otherwise, we were going to have a bit of a disaster for a last race on our hands. Ben would crush Neva Key under one finger. I am nervous too, Homura. This is absolutely clutch moments. Game Bean Dip restarts for what appears to be the last time of this match. We're gonna need to see a restart from Radiant. I don't think he's on the actual race yet. Hopefully he didn't miss it by too much of a margin. I don't want to see a massive delay. Alright. Okay, I can live with that. Alright, hold your butt cheeks, folks. We're gonna have a delay right at the most important part of Detros. Are you happy, Lightning? I said the thing. Just once. For you. Alright. Radiant. Zooming down. DR absolutely has to push. If King Bean Dip keeps this clean, Radiant's gonna have to race the race of his life to stay in contention. And he is only one corner behind. Not too bad. Has lower heat too. I think you know exactly what I said, unless you're just so used to hearing it that you didn't even catch it. Oh, they are actually straight up neck and neck. This is going to be close. Will King Bean Dip keep it clean? Will Radiant pull off the upset? King Bean Dip extends his lead just a little bit. He's got about 2 corners on Radiant now. 43 flat. 43.55. There is not much separating these two whatsoever. Neither of them have crashed yet. Come on. King Bean going to the end. Radiant pushing like he's never pushed before. We get to the clutch last turns. Will King Bean Dip keep it clean while pushing some heat out? Will Radiant be able to use enough to stay in contention? Out of bounds finish, here we come. Can King Bean Dip do it? Oh, he doesn't go for it, but it's a 2-away, and it's King Bean Dip just barely nudging it in for a 4-3 victory. Incredible match. Absolutely banger. Instant classic. Welcome, King Bean, Radiant.
Hello.
What
Hello.
epic show you two just put on.
Dang! I got so
Oh my
close!
You sure did.
4-3. Whew.
Ugh.
King Bean, you saved your one deathless race for the last.
I sure did. You're welcome.
When you needed it most.
Wait, every single run prior to this, you had at least one scratch?
You
Yes.
sure did.
How am I that slow? What the?
I
Good
would
lord!
not call what you were doing slow, Radiant. You
No,
have
you had
absolutely
some-
talked yourself into a corner you have no reason to talk yourself into.
You had
Putting
to,
up 3 points on King
times.
Bean. Yeah.
Like 325 on Howler is good.
That's
Dang,
more than
that was-
respectable.
That Howler time was my best fast lap and 3-lap time, so that's the best I've ever done on that board.
And you had a 154 and M100 with a death, which is also pretty fast.
Oh, that death was so stupid. It was the launch ramp on lap 2. I landed in such a way that I think I scraped against the wall for this minute pixel of a spot, and I was on the slide, so I botched the engine. Ugh.
Yeah,
How
so
goes.
you know how the aerial turn there that decreases your traction. It happens a lot on 2420 when we all do it on PC, but less common on console, I imagine.
Yeah, that definitely stung a little bit. Ugh.
Oh, geez, you also had a sub 4-minute time on Executioner.
Draco gave me the key to Executioner, and I have finally figured out it's the exit to the gravity tunnel. Just let Jesus take the wheel. And ever since I've started doing that, I've been doing better on that board.
I cannot for the life. I know everybody has their issues with that track. It seems like, except for like Goof and I, but I cannot for the life of me figure out how people die on that exit. I just
I
don't
used
die
to.
there. I can't.
Now I don't.
I just don't understand.
I don't know.
And I think I get it now. I think I do get it. So Executioner's in the rear view. Now I just need to. I think, honestly, the pick for Death Row's Revenge did fry me in the end because I did not post the best time for it.
You have absolutely no reason to be ashamed of something like a 211 on console. I do believe I barely have a 207.
Oh, yeah, you're on console.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the Xbox.
Holy cow.
That's the thing you have to keep in mind with all these times is that you are consistently at a disadvantage, and there is absolutely no way that you cannot reconcile that fact. If you keep saying you're slow when you're just at a disadvantage plus a little less experience than you need to be, you're gonna keep kicking your own butt for no reason.
Yeah.
Like for reference, right? Let's take something like Howler Gorge. My best time there on console is a 317.8. My best PC time is a 314.2. That's 3.6 seconds between those two just from that. Like,
I'm sorry,
yeah,
you said a 317?
Yeah.
Dom is crazy. Don't listen to him.
Yeah, but the problem with that KBD is the one thing he gets right all the time is the data. Good lord, 8 seconds.
can't
Yeah,
worry about something like that,
with
though. Really.
with that in mind, your 154 on M100 with a death is fast. That is
Yeah. Yeah.
that is a track that is very difficult to charge boosts on with a stick.
hmm
Tell
It
the,
is
the
not
Grabvine Gateway
a console
run
track.
was the worst. And wrangling that stupid stick to get it right is the absolute worst.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. There is from my best on both console and PC. There is at least 3.5 to 4 seconds time disadvantage per lap on Grabvine. It is not small at all. It is you could like I was talking about that, and I was like King Bean Dip on raw pace at least could take 4 deaths and still win. And now, did he have the pace in the match to do that? No, but like in terms of PB
Jeez, my time
difference
was
and
so
potential
horrible.
pace.
I'm like
Yeah.
18 seconds off of my PB. It's so bad.
Details.
Yep.
You did what you
It-
needed to do,
it's-
and that pick is something that Radiant I would highly suggest you just not allow in the future against somebody who has experience on the track. Uh, Grabvine is
I
probably
had
the
hope,
worst
dadgummit.
track.
I
Probably
had
the
hope.
worst track for console.
I will keep that in mind next time. That's what, like, my pick. I was going to do Grabvine, but banning Bullseye, but KBD literally picked it the moment before I did. So I was like, wait a minute, my plans!
I'm really glad I did that.
That would have been a very nacho pick of you, Radiant, to
I would,
ban Bullseye there.
yep. I would not
I feel confident enough
Neva there.
with, well, I felt confident enough with Neva until I screwed up the shortcut in lap
I
2 in
would like-
Cheese World instead of going forward.
I'd like to propose a solution to you.
Let me guess.
When using Neva Key on Grabvine and Fire Mountain, but mostly Grabvine, lower your acceleration part by 1.
Really?
That sounds
Or lower it.
counterintuitive.
Or lower it to stock if you want.
I mean, you know,
Yeah, because Neva's pod, his acceleration is so fast that it just makes his pod jumpy when you're coming out of especially in the swamp. And
but
the
even more
shortcut.
than that, Radiant, are you familiar with how braking works in this game?
Oh yeah,
It's a racing game, and my caveman brain tells me to never hit the brakes.
No. So in the game, the game constantly has this thing called speed value. Okay, it just constantly builds that up as you're going. So with the better acceleration, you get a lot more speed value really quickly, and it converts the speed value to your actual speed. So that means the higher the speed you get, the more speed value you have to accumulate to get like the next value, right? So Nivaki, his acceleration is so high that he builds up this absolute metric crap ton of speed value, and now he has to get rid of it. So it takes him longer to get rid of the speed value. Exactly. So he accelerates so much without even gaining the extra speed for it, that when he brakes, he has to go through all of that accumulated speed value to actually get to normal braking. Because his brakes aren't bad, but his acceleration is broken.
Okay.
So that's why I say
sure.
you lower that accel part by 1. Then when you get to the shortcut, you won't have to brake for like 5 miles before it.
I'm pretty sure speed value is not on the bingo card.
Sorry, people, that was a little too
taking an honest learning point out of a loss is, and I now have that to learn from. So drop down to the Q32 PCX. Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, you could play around with what you'd prefer between like 1 or 2 parts. You don't have to go like all the way down to stock. King Bean Dip's just saying you really won't lose that much time by doing that because it's so good anyways. But
I mean, yeah, Neva's stock acceleration is almost as good as Ben's with max upgrades.
it's quite comical, but yeah.
All right, I can work with that.
I'm not going to dissuade you from using Neva Key if you ban Bullseye, but I would definitely prefer you use Bullseye if you have access to him.
It's just in practice runs, it felt too bloody brittle, man. I can't do it.
Yeah, Bullseye is twitchy.
Not even
It takes some
twitchy.
getting used to.
I can get down with some twitchy. I can't get down with some glass bones.
Just gotta not make mistakes. Easy.
Let me get back to you on that one, boss.
Let me get back to you on that one.
Yeah, you took a lot of deaths there, King Bean. You
Uh-huh.
had how many? 9 deaths.
9
Oh goodness.
and 7 races.
Goodness
How
gracious.
how did I do for the entire session?
You had 3.
That's not
So
bad.
you had less than 50%. Bear in mind, lifetime less than 50% deaths in tournament is only Mike and Metallica.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at like the past year and a half, then I would also be in that group. But I died a lot back in 2021. I'm not gonna lie to you, Chief. I kind of ruined my own stats there, but
I kept
yeah.
hoping for you to die on tracks, and you didn't. And so I kept losing.
I like Uvo 4 boards except for Gauntlet. I like them now.
Gauntlet
Lo
is
and behold,
so
I'm
chill
home in a
one.
prison. Go
I
figure.
will say you had a lot of people impressed with how you handled the Vengeance exit to that too, because holding nose up to not need to hold the boost over all that is absolutely genius. And I don't know why
It
I've
worked!
never done it. Don't know why I've never done it on console, but for console, it is beautiful. It is
The
absolutely
plan worked.
beautiful.
I've been doing that for months now, and it has always paid off.
It's just one of those things that I don't know how much you know about Vengeance. I know I made that video that you watched and everything, but the boost holds in that section on PC are critical to being able to get a top tier time. And that is the main thing that held back something like a console being competitive on that track, is that you couldn't get the boost out at all to hold it. Like you just couldn't boost because it was too
There's
much
not enough
turning.
turn radius. You can't.
Exactly. But if you just boosted the whole thing, yeah, there's no problem.
Well, I'm glad to see it worked.
And also the ending portion of that tube isn't fast train anyways. So if you cut the boost and charge it and then boost after it would normally auto cut your boost, there's absolutely no penalty to how much boost you've used. So you can have the
Oh,
exact
right.
same
It
boost
automatically
patterns.
cuts you off. I forgot about that.
Yeah, so you can have the same boost patterns just offset slightly. And then
Awesome.
you just get to use more heat anyways. So I mean, realistically, you might have an advantage over PC in theory. Depends on
I will take what I can
how
get.
much you can push it. Because if you think about it like this, right? If you use enough boost to have the same heat going into the tube, right? You only have to worry about not underheating to the point that you get to the exit of the tube and reboost. As long as you don't underheat during that section, you can be at minimum heat exiting the tube and it won't matter. Now, admittedly, it wouldn't be a very large advantage if it is actually one, but uh, it is still something to consider.
And I will consider it. Quite so.
But yes, I just want to really shout out what an amazing race that was. I really had a lot of fun on commentary, even without somebody in here. There was plenty of things going on to talk about. So thank you guys for that amazing race. And a big GG to you, King Bean, clutching up on that last race, finally going in and not dying.
I'm
Because if you
pretty
took that
sure.
death, you would have
Yep.
lost.
And that's a track that has a random death spot, kind of. It's
Kind of.
avoidable, but it's finicky.
You got to actually avoid it.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure if you were on PC, I would have lost.
Don't worry, I
don't
have
think.
permanent residence on Struggle Street, KBD.
Okay, I don't think I would have taken Grabvine.
Well, the problem is my controller's the A button's starting to die on me, and I'm gonna have to probably relearn using the trigger to accelerate soon.
Yeah. Anyway, something I wanted to say. So, I've participated in the tournament every year since its conception, except for last year. And so I was thinking about whether or not to join this year, and I asked my toddler, and he told me I should join. So I did.
Absolutely. You got to give the kids hope. You got to give them hope.
And then I wasn't really excited for it or anything, and then we chose our picks just before the race, before the match. And after our picks were made, I was like, wait, I'm gonna play a match. This is exciting. I haven't done this in previous
Well, I can say this without a doubt, King Bean. We are all happy to have you back in the tournament.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's fun.
Welcome back, boss.
Thanks.
Now it's time to raise Prince Bean Dip into the pod racing legend he needs to be.
That's right. We'll just wait a decade.
My hands are still working. By the time he can race, I'll do a match with him.
Yep. Oh, I should probably go.
Yeah. Thank you guys for being here. It was an epic match. And thank you
Not a
all
problem.
for joining us and watching. It was beautiful. Everybody who was here, I'm sure you all had a fantastic time. And speaking of fantastic times, I do believe we have another match scheduled for tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time of Metallica versus Magius. So be sure to tune in then if you're not like me and you're actually off from work instead of at work. Big thank you to SpeedGaming once again for letting us host this tournament here every year. It's been going on since 2019, and we always have a great time working with you guys. It's always a joy. And huge shout out to our tournament organizers, especially Lightning Pirate, for the beautiful layout and the incredible work that he's done on the back end to make sure this event always runs super smoothly with our Botto program. So huge shout out to everybody. It's been fun. I've been Domray. That's been King Bean Dip and Radiant Variant. And we'll see you guys in the next match. May the force be with you.
Xbox represent.
See you guys.
Take it easy.